Hey guys, it's Shay, Jayla's Film. Today I wanted to discuss the new release of The Color Purple. It came out on Christmas Day and as a result has become one of the highest grossing Christmas Day debuts. Considering the casting and the perception of the Spielberg version of The Color Purple, it is understandable why it's an anticipated film. I can understand why people were hesitant for seeing the film for a couple reasons. For one, it's technically a reboot. I mean, a lot of times reboots are criticized for not being as good as the original or adjusting the storyline to our current time to the point that it takes away from what people like about the original. Two, it's a musical. Many people don't care for musicals. I, for one, don't typically like musicals, but I did enjoy this one. I will say, I knew ahead of time that this was a musical. Compared to when I saw Wonka, I didn't know it was a musical. I still enjoyed it, but it did throw me off for a second during the opening. So perhaps I'm starting to like musicals. And finally, the nature of The Color Purple. In regards to certain events of the story, it can make people reluctant to enjoy the film. I would probably need to make a whole nother video about movies that depict traumatic events, and at one point, does it come across as being used for purely shock or entertainment purposes? Due to this, certain films that include certain topics, such as various types of abuse and racism, violence, any of that, that can turn people away from going to see the film. I think this is partially from overexposure and wanting to see films that have a different tone, but I also think it's the misalignment of how creators of these stories and their attention for their work versus how it's depicted and then later received by a general audience. Again, I would have to make a total separate video to explain this. Having said that, I don't find this video overuses or drags out any form of negative events in a traumatic way. For starters, the film has a different tone compared to the original film. I haven't seen the Broadway version, but from what I've heard, this version of The Color Purple compared to in the 1985 film, it's different. Again, it's a musical, so the film breaks away to musical performances, and I do believe it works well. So the movie in no way feels like it's drawn out and in a doom and gloom session. Not to say that the original does in any way, but I do find that the mix of the music and some of the comedic timing that creates a more hopeful outlook for the characters, whereas the original, I think it takes a bit longer to get there. The biggest upside to the movie is the cast. The entire cast, in my opinion, depicted the characters well. The musical performances definitely stand out as well. The film doesn't completely copy nor completely take away from the original, so I do believe it holds its own compared to it. For my personal opinion, I do prefer this film over the original. I'm hopeful this film will have a decent run for award season. I know in particular Daniel Brooks, who played Sophia, has a few nominations, which is definitely deserved. So I'm curious as to what other nominations may occur for this film. I didn't go in full detail of any specific changes or details that compare both of the films, as I would prefer to limit spoilers. Granted, if you've seen or read the other adaptations of The Color Purple, then you're aware of the plot. Overall, if you were concerned that the movie wouldn't hold up to the original or that the nature of it would be negative or wouldn't work to be turned into a musical, in my overall opinion, I think the movie is worth a watch. I did like the film, and again, the mood of the film was more uplifting. That's all for now. Let me know your thoughts about the film, and if you want me to discuss other films or TV shows, let me know in the comments. Bye!